At this time, I'd like to call the combined open meeting of the Northborough School Committee, the Southborough School Committee, the Northborough-Southborough Regional School Committee, and the Northborough-Southborough Superintendency Union number 3 to order. What I'll do is call on each respective committee to call their respective committees into order. I'll call the region into order at 6:30 p.m. Northborough?
Northborough, we are missing Bryce McKnight. Otherwise, we are all present at 6:31.
Southborough?
Southborough calls the Southborough School Committee meeting to order at 6:31, and 3 out of 4 committee members are present.
Nice. And the Superintendency Union?
I will call the Superintendency Union number 3 to order, and present are Roger Challen, Chelsea Malinowski, Lauren Bailey-Jones, Joan Frank, and Kelly Gannett.
All right, and just for the record, for the region, Kathleen Plichko, Kathleen Howland, and Sean O'Shea are absent. All right.
So the first order of business is nominating officers for the Superintendency Union number 3. So we alternate years for Southborough, Northborough. It is Southborough's year to elect officers. So is there a nomination for chair of the Union 3?
I'd like to make a motion for Roger Challen.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. So I will turn it over to Roger Challen.
So the union's already been called into order.
Yep.
So we need to elect 2 more officers, the vice chair and the secretary.
I make a motion to vote Chelsea as the vice chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor?
I'll make a motion to have Laura as the secretary.
Laura's not in the union.
Or who's in the union?
Alan.
Okay, Alan.
Second.
Welcome, Alan. How would you like to be the secretary?
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Alan Zulik has been nominated for secretary. All in favor? Okay, thank you very much. So unanimous for all votes.
And just before we begin with recognitions, I just also want to recognize our new members in Southborough, so Laura Kaufman and Alan Zulik, and also our new regional member, Crystal Cass, so welcome.
Well, Jen's kind of a new regional member, too.
And Jen
Kind of.
Primack.
New.
Moved up.
All right, at this time, retiree recognition.
All right, so I have the privilege of recognizing Rhoda Webb this evening, so Rhoda will join me. We're going to stand over here.
Okay.
So Rhoda has family in Argentina that are watching, and we're out in Rhoda.
Mexico City.
Mexico City
Also.
and Northborough.
And no.
So it is a great privilege to take a moment to recognize Rhoda Webb and all of her contributions to the district. First and foremost, she is an amazing person. She's a person of integrity, honesty. Her work ethic is unbelievable, and she's extremely caring of others. Most importantly, the roles that she plays are mom and husband, and then she is the consummate advocate for students. She has worked in our district since 2000, and she started volunteering, getting to know the community, and then I think people quickly saw her skill set and then brought her in, and then she was hired by the district, and then she has brought the district to such a wonderful place. She has basically developed our multilingual program single-handedly, from it not being a program to actually where it is today, and that is due to Rhoda's hard work and dedication to families and students. I don't think there is any other employee that I think of who's more connected to families. In terms of the team that she leads, it's one of our highest performing teams in terms of the multilingual department. And Rhoda is She loved her multilingual position much better. Um, Personally, she has been a person that I trust her judgment. She's someone who's a sounding board, someone who I trust completely and have learned a lot. Rhoda has been instrumental in our LPAC, our Multilingual Parent Advisory Council. She has been part of the Coalition for Equity and helped us launch the Coalition of Equity. She has helped us launch the Seal by Literacy. And most importantly, she raised the bar of those around her in terms of knowledge around just multilingual learners and how to best support families. So it is a great honor and privilege to congratulate you and thank you, and you'll be missed, and I'll miss you, and thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Very good.
We do have her real retirement party on Monday, so. So we have a small.
Thank you.
Might I say it short?
Oh, sure.
I'll make it very short. I guess the Southborough committee member that's worked with Rhoda longer than anyone else in the committee. And, as many good things as I can think of to say about Rhoda, it's not enough, so good luck, and I'm very sorry to lose you, from the district.
Rhoda, of course, I told you how I was so impressed by the Peasley math night that you had several years ago, and your enthusiasm, your excitement was just absolutely wonderful after a hard day of working. But I think one of your most important accomplishments, especially as a regional member, is that when this school was, and we met in the old library in the original building, is that we had two parents, one of them being Jerry Bailey, and came to us and said, we'd like to have the foreign language of Latin being taught, and because it would be so important to those going into the science field and the medical field. And since that, when we started with one class, it has grown under your leadership to make it such a wonderful Latin class, and it isn't just Latin 1. I think you could say how many Latin classes there are, but I'd like to thank you for how you have enriched the district, and thank you from a personal point, because I've learned so much from you. So thank you very much. Enjoy your retirement. It's great.
All right, I think what we're going to do is take a 10-minute or so recess
Yes.
to celebrate Rhoda's retirement.
So we do have cupcakes.
Oh,
Nice.
Roger, per Roger's request.
I just want to thank all of you. I'm humbled. It has been an honor to serve the towns of Northborough and Southborough and the regional high school. When my husband and I came with two little ones from Argentina to start school here, it was the school where we were meant to go, and the school was so welcoming and just embraced us and brought us in. And that has happened in every single school, of how our schools welcome families that come, and this is going to be their new home, and needing to navigate how our communities work, how our schools work, going through culture shock, realizing, making a new home when sometimes not knowing anyone. So every single school has that now. You've always had it. Both towns are just so welcoming, so caring, that it has truly been an honor for us to live here, but also serve in the capacity of educator here in Northborough and Southborough. So thank you to all of you.
we're going to open our session to public comment. I'm just going to read the school district's policy. This is from the regional policy manual, but it's the same across all 3 districts, I believe. And these are the rules that we've adopted for public comment in 2021. Speaker is encouraged to present remarks in a respectful manner. All remarks will be addressed to the presiding chair of the meeting. The speaker must begin their comments by stating their name, address, and city of town of residence. The entire length of the public comment section is not to exceed 15 minutes unless the chair extends such a period of time. Each speaker should limit their comments to 3 minutes. The chair may extend the speaker's 3 minutes, and any public comments may be submitted in writing to the chair. Please try to make sure that you need to keep the topics to those items within the school committee's scope of authority, and I think I don't need to read the rest. So at this time, do we have anybody interested in engaging in public comments? Yes, please. State your name and town of residence, and
Where do you want?
yeah, where?
Owen?
My name is Mona Cartier. I'm in Southborough, 14 Johnson. I have prepared comments, hopefully you will grace me the ability to read them. I got it down to about 7 minutes at home, so. But in case I need to keep it short, I think I want to open with one of the many bottom lines. On my child's report card, under social studies, the heading of slavery, the Civil War, and the struggle for civil rights for all, identifies the conflicts, events, the people leading to and ending the Civil War, blank, no grade. It demonstrates an understanding of the effect of war and its aftermath on African Americans, blank, no grade. Explains how the 20th century African American civil rights, I'm sorry, if I can see it, it's too small. Explains how the 20th century African American civil rights movement served as a model for other movements for civil rights, blank, no grade. That's my child's entire class. No grades for those parts. Hopefully I can have the time. I would appreciate it. I learned of the events in my child's 5th grade classroom at Neary, events that have made national news, on May 1st. My child's classroom teacher asked for parents to schedule a 10-minute virtual meeting with her and the principal to discuss conversations that occurred during instructional time. My husband and I sat down with the principal and teacher, and we were told that during a book read aloud, the teacher said a racial slur. The teacher told us that the word was written in the book and she had read it out loud thoughtlessly. She then began a discussion with the students about the word and its context. She also reported to us that during a lesson on American slavery in the southern states, a child had asked what a slave auction was. The teacher, on a whim, then chose 2 random children to stand up and use them as models to help the children understand what a slave auction was. The teacher said she thought better of this when students started bidding on their class dates, and she ended the discussion. These are the events that were reported to us as parents as true. Through tears, the teacher said she was deeply sorry for any harm she had caused and that it would not happen again. There was a short time for us to respond and ask questions. One of the things I asked of the principal was, what policies or guidance is there for teachers from the school, district, or state regarding important but sensitive topics like these? For example, what is the policy or guidance for an educator using the N-word in class? Does the school, district, or state have any rules about this? Thank you. The principal told me no. There are no policies or guidance.
Just so you know, it's been 3 minutes. If you could please summarize your comments.
I really don't think I can, and I would appreciate the time. It would be very helpful.
Continue.
Thank you. I told the principal that the lack of support of teachers through guidance or policy was shocking, and that the school had failed this teacher. I will tell you that my thoughts at this time were that the teacher engaged in incredibly poor judgment, which will have caused harm to students. meeting was full of inaccuracies. The teacher and principal misrepresented, glossed over, and lied to us as parents. The details about these events are far worse than what we were told on that day. Some of these lies and misrepresentations were easily discovered. The slur does not occur in the book. So the teacher's explanation that she read it from the book was a lie. We were not told that the mock auction had occurred in January, months before. We were not told that students were picked from the second and third row of the class and asked to stand at the front of the room and show their physique, their strength, and their teeth. We were not told that it was the teacher who told the class to bid on these students. The teacher actually represented events in a way that the students carried some blame or responsibility for the events. A child asked about an auction. Miss, what's an auction could have been explained.
All right, ma'am, I've provided you another minute. What I'm going to suggest is that you submit your comments in writing to the school committee. Through the chair, please. Your time has expired. Seeking additional comment from the public, please state your name and address for the record.
Tabitha Conway, 250 Parkerville Road. The teacher actually represented events in a way that the students carried some blame or responsibility for the events. A child asked about the auction. Miss, what is an auction? Could have been explained by auctioning a set of pencils. The student did not get carried away and start bidding on their classmates, causing the teacher to rethink what she had set in motion. She had asked them to bid. We were not told the principal had been made aware of the slave auction in January and then did not follow the process of reporting this kind of complaint onward to district level staff. We were not told that the buddy class of the 4th grade student was also in attendance when the slur was used by the teacher while adding context to a book. I understand those 4th grade kids' parents were only told this past Friday, June 7th, that their kids were in the room that day. I understand these kinds of details are in a report generated by an internal investigation into these matters. My child insists his classmates were not in the front row and insists the teacher instructed the children to bid. I understand that those details are included in the report, as are other important details, but I have not read the report myself. I would like to read the investigation's report into these incidents. Not only is transparency important broadly, I need to know accurately what my child and his class experienced, and since I was misinformed, an explanation about what's in the report is not good enough. The district has failed in gaining my trust here. I believe that the school committee and public pressure can help put this report in my hands so that I can read it myself. As I understand it, there are also 2 instances where the teacher scolded a student for reporting the events to their parents. One of these events my child witnessed, as did the principal and other staff. It's important to me to understand exactly what occurred so that I can support my child accurately. I have been told that this act of retaliation was triggered in an investigation. Selling students, using slurs, and lying to parents were apparently not enough. This is one place where I believe the actions of the district superintendent, other district, and other administration needed to be seriously looked at and addressed. Why was this not investigated in January? Why was there no investigation immediately after racial slurs were spoken by a teacher? Additionally, whose idea was it for the teacher to spend a full day tearfully apologizing to students in 10-minute increments? Why were the parents lied to, and who allowed that to happen? I want answers to those questions. The superintendent was presented with the information that a teacher used a racial slur in the classroom. Does he have the responsibility to assess the accuracy of the teacher's explanation? I believe he does. He should have verified the teacher's explanation before information was presented to the parents or what form penalty or penance would take. Checking even the most basic detail of the teacher's explanation should have been among the first things he did. And he certainly, before he let the teacher and principal present inaccuracies.
Ma'am, your 3 minutes has expired.
There's 3 more paragraphs.
Your 3 minutes has expired. I'd ask for additional public comment. Ms. Primack?
So Jen Primack, 7 Jericho Hill Road in Southborough. So I wanted to begin by expressing my sadness about recent events that I believe highlight some systemic issues in both our schools and our towns. I've been on school committee for over 6 years, and for those who may not know me, I'm also a parent with a child in the public schools. Professionally, I'm a clinical psychologist and researcher, and culturally, I'm a Latina person, a woman who grew up outside of the United States. I believe that we currently have the opportunity to come together as a district to push forward change and engage in difficult conversations. As a school committee, we should re-examine our policies, take a closer look at professional development requirements, and adjust our budget priorities. In that vein, I would also like to make a plea to our administration and community that we not lose sight of this opportunity to explicitly address racism, that we not shift the discussion to one about personal grievances unrelated to the core issue of racism. This is not to suggest that we don't have other important equity issues to tackle in ensuring that our students have equity and inclusion in the schools, but rather that when we shift the conversation away from how we manage systemic racism, we end up simply reinforcing underlying problems and minimizing the voices of those in our community who have faced these systemic issues. I spend a lot of time and energy thinking about DEI, both at work and in my role in the school committee. And we have a lot of work to do as a district and a community. That said, the narrative that the administration hasn't taken action step is quite simply inaccurate, and one that I feel compelled to correct. The equity audit that was referred to in the petition was in fact initiated proactively by this administration in 2022. As a result of this audit, the district created the Coalition for Equity, a group made up of teachers, community members, parents, and administrators. In the last several years, the district has implemented the World of Difference program, has created and implemented the Data Analytic View platform, which is something that was a recommendation from the audit, has partnered with ADL doing bias training with all faculty and staff, has further developed and implemented windows and mirrors in the lower schools, and has implemented core curriculum with teaching and learning team. Our current ELA curriculum now has civil rights content embedded within the curriculum. We've also expanded our SEL program and made changes to professional development. Thanks to feedback from teachers in the collaborative study calendar group that was coordinated by Greg, our teachers will now have additional professional development days where we can do a better job of addressing racism. Highlighting those action items is not intended to minimize the extent of what we still need to do. We have a long way to go when it comes to handling racism in our schools. What happened in our NERI classrooms this year was traumatic for many children and their families. I believe the work we need to do should be a partnership with the community. Our schools are not these isolated institutions that exist in a vacuum. They exist embedded within our socio-cultural ecosystems in which systemic racism continues to be a reality. I hope that as we move forward, we all can focus on what changes need to be made and take those steps together within our schools and in partnership with our communities. Thank you.
3 minutes.
Thank you. Additional public comment? Thank you. All right, I strongly suggest those in the audience that had prepared statements and partially read them, please send them to the school committee, and I will make sure that it is forwarded to all appropriate parties. Not hearing any additional public comment. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, number 2, which is to reappoint the school physician.
So we are very fortunate to have Dr. Safdar Medina serve as the district physician. He is an amazing person. He gives so much to our students and to our organization. I think his work most recently with the newcomers in Northborough, giving his time and energy to support families, has been tremendous. And we are, I think, very grateful to have him serve in this capacity. So I did have a conversation with Dr. Medina to see if he'd be willing to continue in the role, and he said he would love to. And so this evening, it's the school committee's vote to reappoint Dr. Medina to the role. And if he is reappointed, Mary Ellen also has a few words to say about Dr. Medina. So this, well, before is fine.
I'm honored to share with this committee and the communities of Northborough and Southborough that Safdar Medina, our school physician, recently won the Laurie Sugarman Whittier Award from the Friends of Southborough Youth and Family Services, and he won the Friend of School Nursing Award from the Massachusetts State Nursing Organization earlier this year. We are blessed to have Safdar as our district school physician. His main focus is and always has been the holistic health and well-being of children. I think Safdar volunteers as many hours as he actually works. For those that don't know him, he's a practicing pediatrician with UMass Memorial in practice in Uxbridge. Along with his full-time job, he has been our school physician for many years, and he is the school physician consultant to the Department of Public Health's School Health Unit. Safdar has done numerous presentations across the state related to student health and well-being. He has presented to our district nurses, local parent groups, athletic groups, at state nursing meetings, and at our first Power of School Nursing Conference last year. And he's presenting again this year too. Most recently, he hosted a webinar about vaping for Natick 180 and presented about teen drug use and misuse and harm reduction at a Westboro Connects event. In February, he had a podcast on NPR, which was entitled "More Kids Are Dying of Drug Overdoses. Could Pediatricians Do More to Help?" These are just a few of his extra vocational activities. He volunteers for so many things, it's hard to keep track. He's a member of our district medical advisory team, our substance abuse prevention coalition, our wellness committee, our equity committee, and the Southborough Board of Health. He was instrumental in organizing the Southborough Neighbors for Peace Vigil and other events, and I know I'm probably overlooking some things that he does. He and his wife, who is also a physician, helped with intake interviews as well as physical exams and care for our newcomers in emergency shelter this past year. He came to the high school to perform the physical exams for the high school students, and for the elementary and middle school students, he made house or shelter calls. Knowing they needed a medical home, he then embraced all of these students into his own practice. During the pandemic, he and his office staff came to the high school and offered physicals for student athletes who needed them and couldn't get in to see their own physician. He has volunteered his time at numerous vaccine clinics throughout the past few years also. He is kind, caring, empathetic, smart, reasonable, and never ceases to lose sight of his vocation to protect and empower our youth. I wish that every parent and child had the experience of a pediatrician as thoughtful, caring, and compassionate as Safdar. He is a light in this world, and I only hope that in my practice I am able to reflect some of his light.
All right. At this time, I will entertain a motion from the region to appoint Dr. Medina as the school physician for the 2024-2025 school year.
So moved for the region.
Moved by Joan. Second by Paul. Any discussion? All those in favor from the region? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Northborough?
I will entertain a motion from Northborough.
I'll make the same motion, so moved.
Second.
Motion by Lauren, seconded by Joan. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Unanimous?
Southborough?
I'll accept a motion.
Second? I'll make a motion.
So moved.
I jumped on it.
I know. So moved. From Roger, second. Second. From Laura. All in favor? All opposed? 4-0. Thank you.
And the union? I'm sorry.
So moved for the union.
Second for union.
All right,
I'm not-
Roger, you're the
Yeah.
chair.
I can try again.
You're the chair.
All in favor? All right, it's unanimous.
Congratulations and thank you, Dr. Medina. All right, next on the agenda is policy development and distribution.
So in your packet are two policies, second readings. Formally, policy on animals in school, which will become animals on school premises if approved. And the second policy is substance use prevention and education policy, J350. And upon approval, it will be teaching about alcohol, tobacco, and drugs, J350. There are no changes to the policy from the first readings.
All right, any discussion on these policies?
So I think last time I raised, if we can define school hours, because of drop-off and pickup.
Yeah, I was just whispering to Lauren, I was like, I feel like there was supposed to be some sort of changes made.
And I know Northborough had some input
related to being neighborhood schools, and a lot of people walk with their animals to school, so I don't know how we want to handle that, but I think it's a liability if we don't have that in here.
Do we want to vote on this or send it back to policy for further discussion and revision?
I'd like to send it back for
All right, send
revision.
it back.
I thought.
Are we in agreement that we want to send it back to add these specific times? Kathleen?
Is there a imminent situation that needs the new policy? Okay. Because the original policy there was.
Joan?
And I know that legal counsel always reviews our policies, but I'd like to piggyback on what Chelsea said. And if there is some liability, I'd like our legal counsel to look into that to make sure that we're covered, because I think that's a good point, about people walking their dogs to school.
All right, given that consideration, we will table this with further revisions to the next combined school committee meeting in September. The next policy.
The second policy is teaching about alcohol, tobacco, and drugs, J350. And Mary Ellen, I'm not sure if there's any comments you want to make about this policy.
We renamed this policy. It used to be Substance Use Prevention and Education Policy. We renamed it to align with the NASC policy that states the same thing.
All right, is there any discussion on this policy? All right. This needs to be voted on by the school committees excluding the union. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion from the region to adopt the substance use and prevention education policy, J350, which will be retitled Teaching About Alcohol, Tobacco, and Drugs. Moved by Paul.
Second.
Second by Kathleen. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Northborough?
So moved.
No, it's good. I didn't even have to say it. Moved by Lauren.
Second.
Seconded by Joan. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous from Northborough.
Thank you. Southborough?
So moved. Seconded.
Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Unanimous for Southborough.
Thank you very much. Item number 4, personnel update.
So in your packet is the personnel report as of June 13th, 2024. And you'll see a couple key appointments. We have Kathy Carmignani, who will be taking on the position of Director of Instructional Technology and Science, effective July 1, and we're excited for her to begin in her new role. Joseph Meckelbeck will be our Regional District Treasurer, who you voted in at the last regional meeting, effective July 1. And lastly, John Parent will begin his role as Director of Information Technology, effective July 15th. So we're very excited about those 3 additions to the leadership team.
I have a question. Physical therapist, is that being replaced or?
Yes.
Okay, so it'll be a rehire.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments? All right. Vote to approve Director of Finance title change?
Yes. So Becky Pellegrino has, as you well all know, served as the Director of Finance for the district for 5 years. She is an outstanding employee, consummate professional, someone who I think is a key leadership person in our district, someone who people go to, great skill, great attention to detail, and a great colleague. She has recently earned her superintendent's licensure, and given the role that she does and the amazing work she does, my recommendation is to shift her title from Director of Finance to Assistant Superintendent of Finance. My fear is if we don't acknowledge Becky's outstanding work and contributions, that she easily could find another position in any district of her choice. and I think she's such a key player. I'd hate to see her go somewhere else and want to retain her, and I believe this is one way we can just acknowledge her expertise and the role she plays in our district.
Does this require a vote of the union or just the three?
I think we'd all.
Okay. I'd just like to make a comment acknowledging Becky. I can tell you from personal experience working for a school district that competent, qualified, organized finance personnel are very, very difficult to find. And we are, in my opinion, lucky to have Becky as our, hopefully, Assistant Superintendent of Finance. Joan?
Greg mentioned that we're very proud and very beneficial to have Becky in this position, but I also say for the towns. I'll only speak for Northborough because I know at the town meeting, when it came up with some finance, Becky was right there on the spot. She had her papers and spoke very eloquently and factual to all the items that had questions from the audience. So I think that just shows another aspect of yours that you do all the way for the district, but you also do for the town of Northborough. And if you do that for the town of Northborough with the region, I'm sure you do it in Southborough. So I've been very pleased and just astounded by your capacity and your knowledge. And this title is just very needed at this time for you. So congratulations, and congratulations on getting the certificate.
I would also just like to say a quick congratulations, having sat next to you for many a town meeting, and it's been, and budget, operational, and all of the meetings over the past 6 years. I think you do a fabulous job. Always know that it's easy if we have a question at town meeting, that within seconds you pull the answer out or crunch the numbers. And so I'm very excited to see you move up into that, and it's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
Kelly?
I met Becky when she was in HR here. And I served on a committee with her, and I got to know her and love her. And then when she was moved into the finance, I was like, is this gonna be a change? Is this gonna? And she's exceeded every expectation anyone could ever have for the finance of our schools and our district. And appreciate all the hard work you've done through all the years. And I think we had an audit many, many years ago, and they said we were too light on top. And I think that this is just helping us, support our schools and our district, our complicated district. So congratulations. Thank you. Don't leave. Nobody's allowed to hold her.
Roger?
Well, I'm going to do a couple of Me Too's. I also met Becky back when Kelly did, at that time, and also have been sitting next to her for a number of years on the school committee meetings and town meetings, and just like to echo one, if we need an answer, we get it very quickly and we get it very accurately. So thank you, and also don't leave.
I'd just like to add to that, I think one of the most important things that Becky's really good at is working with town staff on the accounting side, and I think that is an integral part of making the financial side of the school work well. So I just want to thank you for all your efforts, at least on the Southborough side, with working with town staff. I think it's, you have a lot of different stakeholders, and I think you do a great job managing all that. Thank you, and congratulations.
Paul?
I'll glom on here, but I too have known Becky since the HR days, and I remember thinking, is this going to be a good thing to lose her from HR? But it was. And I kind of marvel at how the department has matured under her leadership. And it just seems like there's more structure and checks and balances, and just things run smoothly. And we have e-sign. And I think also just the athletic complex project was a good example of her fastidiousness, and I was heavily involved in that, and just every week there was another financial issue to deal with, and she did it all with aplomb. So thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Kristen?
I'm going to agree with everyone. It became obvious a year ago when I started that within minutes everybody was turning to Becky, and she's done excellent work. The one question I have is if there are any other consequences of changing the title. It's just congratulations on the certificate. I'm sure that's a great accomplishment. Is it just for Becky, or is it more of a structural change? Or is there any other change?
It's more of an acknowledgement of what she actually does. in terms of the leadership in the district. Not only is she a director of finance, but she's also a leader to her colleagues in NASA. So I think it's a recognition of the role she plays in the district, in addition to the finance role she plays.
So I think, can I clarify Kristen's question? I think the question is, is this attached to Becky herself, or is this a role in our org chart?
We're not replacing, we're not getting a new director of finance.
Becky wins the lottery tomorrow.
Yeah, so I will share that.
We're gonna beg her to stay, but let's say she doesn't.
So when districts do have director of finance positions open, they're posted as assistant superintendent of finance. This is a structural change.
Okay.
This is if Becky does decide to pursue,
Which she's not going to.
another opportunity,
Which she's not going to.
the title change would support us finding the most qualified candidate.
John?
I haven't known Becky since HR days. Sorry. But I have to say, I'm gonna glom on to what Paul said. And the building project that we had outside in the backyard there, you have to think about the fact that I've been on a lot of big projects, and never have we actually come within $10,000 of multi-million-dollar deals. So, and I always was amused every month that we would have the updates, and Becky would sit there and she'd reconcile to the penny. So I definitely appreciate your diligence, so thank you. I know Keith had something to do with it too, but he's not here.
I'm good.
I was watching the bottom line too.
I know you were.
Any additional comments? All right. We need a vote from all 4 committees, so I will entertain a motion from the region to approve the Director of Finance title change to Assistant Superintendent of Finance.
So moved.
Moved by Kathleen,
Second.
second by Paul. Any discussion? All those in favor? Region? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Southborough?
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? All opposed? Unanimous for Southborough.
Northborough?
I'll take a motion.
So moved.
I'm going to give it to Kristen.
Give it to Kristen.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Kristen, seconded by Joan. All in favor? Unanimous for Northborough.
And the Union?
I'll entertain a motion for the union. Moved by Chelsea, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
All right, next, we have action on minutes. Item number 5. We have action on the combined open meeting minutes of March 13th, 2024, and action on the joint open meeting minutes of the Policy Development Subcommittees of April 29th, 2024. I will entertain a motion from the Union to approve and release the combined open meeting minutes of March 13th, 2024, and the joint open meeting minutes of the Policy Development Subcommittees of April 29th, 2024, for the region.
So also move for the union, is there a second?
Second.
Move for region.
Move for region, Kathleen, move for region.
Second.
Second by Paul. We need Northborough. Oh, did you get a second?
I did get a second.
You get a second, okay.
So moved.
Second.
Lauren and Joan for Northborough. Any discussion? All those in favor for the region? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously for region.
All those in favor for the union? It's unanimous?
I didn't get something,
No.
did I? Sorry.
That's good.
You can still do it.
Yep,
Yeah, it's
Southborough.
okay.
So move for Southborough.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Unanimous for Southborough.
Northborough vote, we already had you took the motion, the second, so all in favor? Unanimous?
All right. I think that was everybody. Motion passes. All right. Thank you very much. All right, item number 6, the 2023-2024 Superintendent Summative Evaluation. I'll turn it over to Joan and Kathleen.
Kathleen's going to lead it off.
I am going to lead it off. So I think in past years, what we have decided is most transparent, is to just read the entire thing into record. It's kind of long and there's some graphs. So I would just say if people really want to see the graphs, to go to the digital version. So it starts out to Gregory Martineau, Superintendent, Public Schools in Northborough, Southborough, Northborough School Committee, Southborough School Committee, Northborough Southborough Regional School Committee, and Superintendency Union Number 3. From Joan Frank, Superintendency Union Number 3 Chairperson, and Kathleen Harrigan-Palechko, Northborough Southborough Regional School Committee Chairperson. It is the last thing that we do in our, the last roles that we play. All right, so the 2023-2024 summary of superintendent evaluation. The response rate on the I'll say Google form that was sent out was 85%, which equated to 17 of 20 members. I should also note that there are several members that rolled off and they either did not run again or just decided to leave. So that's why there's not 100% participation. Introduction. The end of the school year is a time of review and reflection. One of our primary duties as school committee members is to evaluate the performance of the superintendent. Even though it is the responsibility of the Northborough Southborough Regional Committee and the Superintendency Union Number 3 Committee to evaluate the superintendent, the past practice is that all members of the Northborough Pre-K School Committee and the Southborough Pre-K School Committee are invited to submit individual evaluations. The evaluation process is provided by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, DESE, which includes goal setting and lists the standards and indicators of effective administrative leadership practice, instructional leadership, management and operations, family and community engagement, and professional culture. The composite evaluation rating is presented at the June combined open meeting, read into the record, and then shared with DESE through the end of cycle summative evaluation report. Superintendent 2019 two-part step 1, assess progress toward goals, and step 2, assess performance on standard state reporting systems, in case anybody needed the full name of that. Superintendent Greg Martineau met with Regional Chair and the Union Chair to set his goals prior to the September 2023 Combined School Committee meeting, at which time those goals were shared and accepted. Superintendent Martineau provided a mid-cycle goals update at the December 2023 and March 2024 Combined School Committee meetings. The timing of the superintendent evaluation in this district has evolved over the years. Due to town elections in May, we often have turnover of a significant number of school committee members. We wanted those school committee members to be able to fully participate before their term expired, so for several years, the evaluation process occurred in a March-April timeframe. Over time, members suggested that April was too early, that the committees were not evaluating a full year's performance, so we moved the evaluation date to the month of June, which allows members to provide their input in the month of May. This year presented a unique challenge for the evaluation process in that we had an unusual incident happen in one of the 3 school districts that came to light in early May. It is commonplace for the chairpersons to provide extensions in any year, but in the case of this particular year, the process was reopened in order to give school committee members more time to add or change their input. The goal in our districts has always been to give optimal opportunity for everyone on each of the committees to offer their feedback and have their voices heard. The job of the regional superintendent is difficult and complex, and in our district, that workload is multiplied by 3. It takes significant effort to make our 3 school districts look and operate as though they are a single entity, a single district. When one evaluates Superintendent Martineau's performance against almost every goal or any standard, one must measure each objective against the incredible amount of additional work and complexity that is required to run a regional operation, especially a region which includes multiple school districts, multiple towns, and multiple collective bargaining units. There is no doubt this adds a significant degree of difficulty to everything the superintendent does when contrasted with the responsibilities of a superintendent overseeing a single school district. For example, where the superintendent of a single district and their support staff may have to prepare reporting for 1 monthly school committee meeting, ours must prepare 3 separate full committee meetings per month, subject to different reporting requirements in each community. Adding to the already complex undertaking of operating 3 school districts, the unanticipated medical leaves of absence of key central office staff further compounded the workload for the superintendent and his assistant superintendents. Although the recent events and improvements in handling complex Although the recent events in Southborough have certainly demonstrated that there is room for reflection and future improvements in handling complex situations by the superintendent, his staff, all of our educators, and we as school committee members. The following is the school committee's summative evaluation for the 2023-2024 evaluation process. Strategic Objective 1, Empowering Learners. The strategic objective was work with the Northborough, Algonquin, Southborough administrative team, NASA, to implement instructional practices that engage students in developing and demonstrating their knowledge and skills through rigorous, innovative, and relevant learning experiences. 88% of school committee members evaluated Superintendent Martineau as having met or exceeded expectations. Committee members noted areas of strength, including his methodical approach to ensuring he visits each school periodically, including residencies, and that the progress of the dissemination of UDL, wit and wisdom, revisions to book selection practices, and putting tools and rubrics in place that have served to unify these practices across the district. Some suggestions for improvement include that we should ensure that all teachers are being provided with opportunities to develop relevant and efficacious pedagogical, thank you, practices.
I didn't write that.
There is a need for monitoring, measurement, and analysis of feedback mechanisms to determine whether there is a positive impact to faculty, students, and parents, and if not, we need to create action plans in order to improve our practices. Strategic Objective 2, Equity of Opportunity. Provide all students access to challenging and culturally responsive learning experiences that meet their individual needs. 71% of school committee members evaluated Superintendent Martineau as having met or exceeded expectations. The superintendent has made progress in this important area, and the action steps that are currently in process due to his multi-year goal are important and necessary. One noted area is the initiative of using analytic platform to review all aspects of student data to look for attendance trends. This allows for a tailored approach to support students and meet their needs. In addition, programs such as Unity Beyond Differences help advance the learning of staff and students. Suggestions for improvement. Revisit the equity audit from several years ago and report on where we stand. Address the initiative of hiring more diverse staff. More clearly define the position of equity leader. Continue to review curriculum for bias. Focus on professional development. Support social studies and history teachers in how to best educate our students in important areas like slavery and civil rights. And improve the mechanism for sharing complaints or issues from families or faculty. Strategic Objective 3, Healthy and Balanced Learners. Prioritize the social, emotional, and physical well-being of students. 88% of school committee members evaluated Superintendent Martineau as having met or exceeded expectations. A common theme is that the superintendent continues to be both proactive and responsive to the needs of the students of the school district. Through his leadership and the advocacy of his support staff, the superintendent has demonstrated his ability to direct and implement novel but research-based programs to enhance the social and emotional well-being of students throughout the district. Comments of note include positive feedback about the Second Step program, Signs of Suicide Prevention program, specifically how we respond when risk is detected, migrating social emotional learning, SEL, efforts from being conducted on a school-by-school basis to following students from one grade and school to the next, building on prior efforts, a coherent and systematic approach to social and emotional learning to combat the continuing effects of the pandemic, focusing on analyzing student attendance data to determine attendance trends at the high school, determining how wellness days are implemented so they achieve their intended goal, adding an additional 0.5 resource for social and emotional learning. Suggestions for improvement focused on professional development, PD. Some committee members felt we are lacking in the ability to stretch and ensure there is training that challenges the teachers to have tough, courageous, and productive conversations around teaching students that have historically been underrepresented in the two towns. Professional development provided by individuals of diverse perspectives and backgrounds would better represent the growing population of diverse students and families in our communities. Strategic Objective 4, Educator Learning and Leadership. Demonstrate continual growth through professional collaboration. 65% of school committee members evaluated Superintendent Martineau as having met or exceeded expectations. Committee members felt that the superintendent made noteworthy progress in this objective, mainly through the professional opportunities regarding universal design for learning. Superintendent Martineau acknowledges gaps in several of the action steps, such as retaining staff through providing a culturally proficient organization, expanding the district's recruitment network, and increasing staff diversity. Superintendent Martineau recommended increasing the number of wellness days to include professional development, which shows the commitment from the district to continue to allow educators to grow. A suggested area for improvement was in the area of delegation of responsibilities to his team. Increasing staff accountability by empowering his staff to take responsibility for more would prevent some things from slipping through the cracks. This could provide the superintendent with more opportunity to tighten up the rare but serious failures in communication that have occurred between Superintendent Martineau and some of his staff, failures that have raised concerns amongst members of our communities. Strategic Objective 5, Finance and Operations to support teaching and learning. Develop, support, and operate sustainable, attractive, and well-maintained schools. 88% of school committee members evaluated Superintendent Martineau as having met or exceeded expectations. It is extremely impressive how Superintendent Martineau and his team consistently managed to provide high-quality education and services to our students while maintaining a level service budget during high levels of inflation and increasing special education, SPED, transportation and supply chain costs. This work has resulted in the continued support from the tax-paying citizens and the continued commitment from the employees in a very challenging economic environment. Some projects of note include solar projects, his hiring, developing, managing, and a high-quality, very capable staff for the district's finance and operations department, general maintenance of our facilities, leadership in completing the first phase of the Algonquin Field project, long-term capital investments that are long overdue for improvement, engaging with MSBA for core building projects. The Neary Building Project Committee has had excellent communication methods and flexible offerings for the community to engage. Partnership with the town, police to utilize space in school buildings. Providing good, clear communication on the thin building mold issue, resolution, financial impact, and plan for covering the cost through communication and partnership with the vendor and town select board could have been improved. Performance standards.
Thank you. I would just like to say that the evaluation of the principal of the superintendent is of two parts. Kathleen just read step number 1, which was assess progress towards goals. Those goals are established with the union chair and the regional chair before school starts in the summer, usually in August. And then Greg gives us an update twice a year. He does it in December and March, and then we begin this process. The next part I'm going to be doing is step number 2, which is assess the performance in standards. Those are the ones that are listed to us by the state and set by the state. The first one is instructional leadership. Number 2 is management and operations. Number 3 is family and community engagement. And number 4 is professional culture. Within those standards, each of those standards then is subdivided into 41 indicators that define further how a skill set can be considered. These indicators are then subdivided into further elements of 21. So all in total, there are 65 separate standards, indicators, and elements that we can evaluate the superintendent on. We don't do all 65, okay? We have to do each of the standards, but we don't do all the indicators or elements, or we'd still be here tonight until midnight reading this to you. So that's how this is done. Okay, so the first one is standard number 1, instructional leadership. The education leader promotes the learning and growth of all students and the success of all staff by cultivating a shared vision that makes powerful teaching and learning the central focus of schooling. 100% of school committee members evaluated Superintendent Martineau is exemplary or proficient. It is commonly felt that Superintendent Martineau leads by example. He is humble and gives credit to others, but their success is due to his support, guidance, and leadership. The district's strategic plan is essentially built around the ideas that make up the standard, and that plan drives virtually everything the districts do. From a focus on professional development to data-driven improvement projects, Superintendent Martineau most certainly exemplifies excellence in this area. The superintendent is a strong leader who provides a clear vision for the district. He provides the structure and builds the capacity of the staff to carry out the district version. Standard number 2, management and operations. Promotes the learning and growth of all students and the success of all staff by ensuring a safe, efficient, and effective learning environment using resources to implement appropriate curriculum, staffing, and scheduling. 94% of school committee members evaluated Superintendent Martineau as exemplary or proficient. The overall consensus is that Superintendent Martineau is an excellent leader. He is dedicated, even-tempered, experienced, an excellent listener, thoughtful, and reacts calmly. He has developed an excellent and capable staff who have confidence in his decisions and in him as a leader. He is open to feedback about processes and how to continually make improvements for the district. Suggestions of areas for improvement include rethinking the hiring process and procedures to ensure outside perspectives and applicants are fairly considered. Bullet number 2, clarify expectation setting in regard to classroom behavior. Bullet 3, developing a clear methodology for checking for implicit bias in decision-making. Standard number 3, family and community engagement. Promotes the learning and growth of all students and the success of all staff through effective partnerships with families, community organizations, and other stakeholders that support the mission of the school and district. 88% of school committees evaluated Superintendent Martineau as exemplary or proficient. Committee members consistently comment on how Superintendent Martineau is an excellent communicator. He is clear, transparent, provides excellent data, and always reinforces the missions of the school. The superintendent's weekly communications with the community continue to be extensive, thorough, and informative. He continues to meet frequently with community stakeholders, and he and his staff have garnered the support of the community to maintain the high standards he has set for the district. Members who rated Superintendent Martineau as needs improvement suggested that, first bullet, though Superintendent Martineau deals with urgent issues with fidelity according to district policy, expectations for how to deal with family and teacher issues is inconsistent among administrators. Bullet number 2, there should be increased opportunities for families to meet in person with the superintendent when there are topics of concern to more than one child or family. Third bullet, there should be a greater focus on Coalition for Equity meetings. The 3 coalition-sponsored events were not very well advertised or attended and should have been repurposed in creative ways in order to better share the content with the community. Standard 4, professional culture. Promote success for all students by nurturing and sustaining a school culture of reflective practice, high expectations, and continuous learning for staff. 100% of school committee members evaluated Superintendent Martineau as exemplary or proficient. One of our district's strengths is the professional culture strengthened through Superintendent Martineau's leadership. Superintendent Martineau continuously does an impressive job. He is thoughtful, dedicated to students, faculty, staff, and community engagement, solution-focused, and calm even when others are not. This approach has made him an excellent superintendent whose positive impact on the district since assuming the position is clear. Overall, Superintendent Martineau does a great job in this category. The recent events in Southborough have shown that the system does not work all the time, and we need to continuously improve on reinforcing expectations. The success of our students is no small part due to the professional culture of our educators that is focused by Superintendent Martineau and his staff. This is a long, very detailed document. The part that gets reported to the staff is an overall grading that we give. And how that is derived is it is the rate for the overall summative performance is based on step 1 of the objectives and goals that Kathleen read, and step 2, which is what I read, which was the standards. Overall rating. A superintendent's overall performance rating is based on an examination of the evidence of the superintendent's performance against the 4 performance standards. The superintendent's attainment of goals set forth in the superintendent's goal plan and the school committee's professional judgment. The evaluation tool is provided by the Department of Elementary Education, DESE, end of cycle summative evaluation report, superintendent, published in the year 2019. The overall summative performance is reported to DESE is based on step 1 and step 2 ratings. Step 1, assessment progress towards goals, exceeded, met, significant progress, some progress, or did not meet. And step 2, assessment performance on standards, exemplary, proficient, needs improvement, or unsatisfactory. At this time, based on the level of attainment in each standard, Superintendent Martineau's rating is at the exemplary level. The defining characteristics of overall exemplary performance are consistency, the ability to model highly effective practices, and empower others to achieve high expectations. An exemplary rating is a high level with demanding expectations. Superintendent Martineau's work has positively impacted all the staff and students of the 3 districts he leads. He has handled the most challenging situations he has encountered since being unanimously chosen as superintendent in an utmost exemplary manner. We look forward to having many more years with Superintendent Martineau at the helm of our 3 districts, continuing to move us forward with concerted and targeted efforts to unify our community of increasingly diverse learners.
Thank you very much, Kathleen and Joan, for compiling that data and generating that evaluation. It was, I know it's a monumental task, one which I'm looking forward to doing next May.
You'll do it?
Rock, paper, scissors. No, that was amazing, so thank you very much. And Greg, it really is a testament to your leadership of this district that you attained that rating. Joan?
I just have one comment, because there is a person in the audience that behind every successful husband, wife, there's always a partner behind them. Behind every successful administrator is assistant superintendents, but most importantly is Cheryl Lepre. Being the most senior member, I think next to Paul and Kathleen, is when we began this process, before the state gave us this document to use, each one on the committee used to write a narrative, be 2 or 3 pages, what they saw throughout the whole entire year. So the 2 chairs, the one time we decided to do it 4 chairs, would go and take all these 3-4 page documents of very subjective words and feelings and understandings and come up with one document. Then when the state in 2019 came up with this checklist and document, and we still did some narrative, but we had things to go with, and the superintendent gave us goals, talked to us, gave updates, we went, wow, this is even something better to go. But Cheryl Lepre, under her own understanding, took whatever we check, each one of us, if we do unsatisfactory, if we do proficient, if we do exemplary, she takes all that information that we supply, and she has made a grid where it comes to look like this for the 2 chairs. Unbelievable. We didn't have to count, we didn't have to do averages, it's already done for us, and she makes it so easy. So Roger, it's not that bad. Chris, it's not that bad. But it's from what Cheryl has done for us, and she has allowed us to even be better in our jobs. So Cheryl, I want to thank you so much, because you are the unsung hero behind our superintendent, and you answer our phone calls, you get us the information we need, and then you relay it to him. So I want to thank you on behalf of all the committees for what you have done to make us as school committee members look successful. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
All right, do we have to vote to accept? We don't have to vote to accept that, correct?
Yes.
We have to vote to accept the, we do have, all right. At this time, I will entertain a motion from the, is it just, it's the region and the, we'll do all 4 committees? At this time, I'll entertain a motion from the region to accept the superintendent's summative evaluation for 2023-2024.
So moved.
Moved by Paul,
Second.
second by Joan. We'll go for Northborough.
Entertain a motion for Northborough.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen.
Second.
Seconded by Lauren.
All right, Southborough.
I'll accept a motion.
So moved for Southborough?
Second.
And for the Union?
I'll accept the motion for the Union.
So moved.
Second.
So any discussion?
Who made the motion? Joan? And Chelsea was the second.
Any discussion from the group? Jen?
I would like to say a few comments, if that's okay. I'm gonna try not to read this, because I know it's like boring for me to just read this out, but I do want to acknowledge, with the recent events, and explain a few things about the ways in which I evaluated. So really, amidst some of these community calls for Mr. Martineau's suspension, firing, disciplinary action, I just wanted to offer some of those personal thoughts as someone who's worked with Greg for over 6 years. In my personal experiences with Greg, I found him to be someone who's very thoughtful, effective, and really legitimately interested and invested in our schools and community. And it really was his leadership that led to this equity audit that has resulted in fiscally responsible budgets, while also ensuring that we have some of the best schools in Massachusetts. So Massachusetts has over 1,700 public schools, K through 12, and in 2024, Woodward was ranked #1, Neary was ranked 32, and Trotter was ranked 36. And among 405 high schools, Algonquin Regional High School was ranked 30th. I also wanted to say that the average superintendent in the US really only lasts about 2 years, with about 20% of our nation's superintendents lasting only no more than 8 years on the job. Why is that? Well, there was a recent article that describes superintendents as basically the CEOs of school districts. They're in charge of themselves, implementing the visions of our school boards, organizing curricula and educational programming, managing spending, staff, and facilities. And they do that for wages that are far below what an actual company CEOs make. We expect our superintendents to be experts in education, business, HR, communications, DEI, special education, and many more areas. And as a result of that, in the United States and Massachusetts in particular, we have a problem retaining superintendents. And turnover is on the rise, according to latest statistics. So I just really wanted to, I think we've been really fortunate in Southborough and the region to have a superintendent who's been committed to our district. Superintendent Martineau has a reputation across the state for being one of our better superintendents. When I've attended the Massachusetts School Committee Association for School Committee events, and this is not an exaggeration, every time I've attended, I've been asked where I'm from, and I've been told, you're so lucky to have Greg. This is something that I hear repeatedly from year to year. Those external reviews match my own personal experience. And then just finally, I wanted to say that, most of our community members have minimal contact with the superintendent outside of when there's a problem. So community members often just have this contact with superintendents when there's these issues, like the issue that we had recently. And while I acknowledge that there were some areas of improvement or things that we could have done better there, I think when I evaluate you and I think about all of the work and how responsive you've been to me, despite the fact that I probably am like a thorn in your side every time there's a DEI issue, I'm calling you and complaining, you're receptive and you're kind and humble, and I think you really work towards understanding and making changes. So I wanted to say that to explain to the community, because we've heard a lot of these negative complaints and comments, and that's really just a snapshot of what we see on a daily basis. I encourage community members who don't believe me to ask people who've worked with Greg on committees, on task forces, who've worked with Greg in any kind of in-depth capacity. So that just explains why I feel the way I do and why I evaluated you the way you do. So thank you.
Can I make a comment? So I'd just like to speak to I think Jen spoke eloquently about the qualitative, kind of characteristics of superintendent's performance, but I'd just like to make a comment on the quantitative performance. This is a very, as people know, this is a very complex region in that it has 3 school committees, it's got 2 towns, and the typical, and it's very unusual. Most of the school systems in the state, you really have 1 town, 1 school committee. So I found myself on a number of occasions, so instead of 1 school committee meeting a month, and the district staff, they have 3. So I found myself on a number of occasions because in Southborough we've had a few very time-consuming projects. I found myself saying, Greg, how do you spend any time for Northborough or the region? Because it seems like you're spending all your time with us. And then when I talk to the folks in Northborough and the region, they have the same reaction. So the time it takes, to perform this job, the quantity of time that it takes is it's significant in a district like this, and the district staff. I want to make sure I keep pointing that out. And they do this in a way that you'd really never know that they were really managing basically 3 school systems and not just 1.
Kelly?
I would just like to say that I've been on the school committee for 6 years now, and I've been fortunate to see 2 different superintendents. And the limited experience that I had with the first one and the extensive experience that I have with Greg, it is night and day. He's exceeded all expectations. If we want to rewind to, was it 5 years or however many years ago, when I was the lone holdout, vote no to appoint Greg as the superintendent. And I didn't vote no because of his character, and I told him that. It was the process. And I think Greg has done everything he can to help the process along the way. So thank you for all your work.
Joan?
Well, I have a different perspective because picking up on what Jen had to say was, anybody who works with Greg, okay, what would they say? Well, I had a perspective because Greg was my principal. And when the superintendency became available, assistant superintendent, I went to his office, hey Greg, guess what? I knew you're not gonna stay in Hopkinton that long. There's an assistant superintendent at in Northborough, Southborough. I think you should go. Not that we didn't like him, but because I knew that there were better things for Greg. And his leadership was unmeasurable, and it was just phenomenal. I learned as a teacher under his realm how to be a better educator, how to be a better communicator, how to wait, listen, and think. And also, Greg evaluated me on the teacher evaluation form, so I got to return it this time. But then when Greg came over here, I never mentioned it again to him until it was on the selection interview committee and saw the list of the people that were coming. And I went, oh my gosh. And I had asked if I had to be recused myself because this is my boss. And I didn't say anything to anybody else, and I didn't have to recuse myself. And lo and behold, next thing I knew, Greg has the assistant superintendency. So I thought, this is great. I'm the boss now. Well, I learned very quickly not to be the boss of Greg, only because I was still learning from him. I was still learning from him how to be a better person, how to be a better educator, and how to be a better school committee person. Greg knows I've given him suggestions, as we all have. But if I give him a suggestion, I don't care if he takes it or not, because I know that he is going to take what I said and say, yeah, okay, or nah, that's wrong. And I believe in him. He's the captain of our ship. He has taken us through waters and taken us higher into where we can be. We've had troubled waters, but I know that he's at that helm and he can have a steady hand on it. I always ask him every day as the union chair, how are you doing? Are you okay? And that's the best that I can take. And I want him to go out there and garden and run and do whatever he likes to do. And I think that I am pleased of everybody that did this evaluation and came out with the rating that we did. I think Kathleen got into, we had no idea what we were going to be doing or how it was going to come out, and we were pleasantly surprised. I'd like to thank each of the members for their thoughtful comments and putting things in even when it was beyond the due date, because we wanted every voice on this. We wanted this to be as transparent as possible, and everyone's voice is spoken, and even the ones that are not here tonight at this table. So Greg, thank you very much. I learned a lot from you. Thank you.
Yeah, Lauren?
Sure. So Greg, thank you for your leadership this year. I think that both Joan and Kathleen did a wonderful job compiling all of our responses. I think that one thing I learned in the review process is, in reviewing your goals, looking at the rubric, matching them up, trying to make, I think, as fair an assessment as possible, is that, the goals that you set forth are very high quality. Some of them are reachable and some of them take a lot of time. So I think that as a school committee member myself, I kept thinking, is this attainable with just one person? You set very high goals, and I think that as a school committee member, I'm thinking, what else do we need in order to really keep pushing the envelope? And I think capacity is the answer. Does one person have the capacity to do all the things that we just talked about? And so that's something that is on my mind. So I thank you for all the work that you've done. And I think that those gaps that we mentioned tonight are often due to capacity. So thank you.
Can I comment to that? That, so the goals that I typically present to the committee are shared goals. You're only good as the team that works around you. So it's reflective of the high quality positions and people that we have working on behalf of the students in the schools, you know, from Becky to Stephanie, you know, to Rhoda. I mean, there's a whole high quality team that's moving this work forward. So I think when I say, you know, it's very humbling to hear all of this, but it really should be heard from all of the members of the NASA leadership team who work toward these goals every day. So I just want to make sure it's clear that although I'm helping lead and support, it's really the expertise that we have in the support positions that are, it's essential. And we could use more support.
Paul?
I don't want to take more time here because I agree with just about everything that's been said, and, but I would echo what the folks told Jen at the various MASC meetings, and that we're lucky to have Greg. So I just wanted to get on the record with my 100% support.
Kathleen?
So, so I've been doing this long enough that I think when I started, there wasn't ratings, and there wasn't one number. There was, just as Joan pointed out, the narrative. So I've watched that evolve, and over 3 superintendents, I think we as a committee have all agreed that it is tough to get to exemplary. And you probably, and a lot of thought goes into it, and it's, you know, everything's balanced. But one of the criteria for being exemplary, based on DESI's, you know, rubric and grid, is this a superintendent that other superintendents should go to for advice, and if they're ever in, you know, dire circumstances and similar situations, and that is overwhelmingly you. If there's a school district in this Commonwealth that is ever either needs advice or needs help, then you are the perfect person to go to. And one of the things that you've done so well is put your team in place, because that didn't just magically happen. So I just wanted to point that out as a qualitative and quantitative comment.
Joan?
I'd like to make a motion for the region.
I think
Oh, we already did.
motions. This was the discussion.
So we-
Now we just need to vote.
Oh, we did it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, any further
I think you
discussion?
motioned the first time too, Joan.
There's one coming up.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see how long I've been writing the evaluation.
But for-
To adjourn to go into
Oh, yeah,
executive
we
session.
have to
Gotta
accept
vote
this,
to
so.
accept.
Yep, so, for the region, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion for the region passes unanimously. Northborough?
All in favor? Unanimously passes.
Thank you. Southborough?
All in favor? Unanimously passes.
Union?
For the union, all in favor? Passes unanimously.
Very good. All right, at this time, we're going to enter executive session to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel, the superintendent of schools, with the intent to reconvene in open session. I believe we need a roll call vote for executive session. All right. I'm going to start with the, a motion from the region.
So moved.
So moved by Joan, second by Kathleen. I'll run down the list here. Joan,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes?
Kathleen,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
John,
No?
and I myself, I'm an aye. The region is in executive session. Northborough,
We take a motion to adjourn into executive session.
So moved.
Lauren moves, seconded by Kristen. Kristen?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Northborough is in executive session.
Southborough,
I'll accept the motion.
So moved.
Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Chelsea, yes.
And-
Second is an executive session.
and the union.
Yeah, I'll accept the motion from the union to adjourn to executive session.
So moved.
Moved by Joan,
Second?
second, who got it?
Kelly?
By Kelly. Roll call vote. Kelly?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
All right, all 4 committees are in executive session.
Chris, where are we going? There?
I think we're going to go into the room over there.
Okay.
After our executive session, we're going to vote on the superintendent's contract. This is item number 8. And I'm going to make a motion, and I will ask for each committee to vote on this motion. So, the motion that I'm making is, in the superintendent's existing contract, on page 7 of the contract of employment, letter C, numeral 1, vacation and holidays, to decrease the entitled vacation days from 25 to 15 days, and eliminate page 7, letter C, numeral 2, in its entirety. In consideration of this change, the present value of 10 unused vacation days, which is $8,307, is added to the FY24 base salary of $215,975, resulting in an effective FY24 salary of $224,282. For fiscal year 25, the superintendent's salary shall increase by 3.0%, resulting in a base salary of $231,010. I will entertain that motion from the region.
So moved.
Moved by Kathleen.
Second.
Second by Joan. Entertain the motion from the Northborough School Committee.
So moved.
Moved by,
Lauren.
second by Kristen. Entertain the motion for Southborough School Committee.
So moved.
Moved by Roger.
Second.
Second by Laura. Now entertain the motion for the union.
So moved.
Moved by Joan.
Second.
Second by Chelsea. All right. Any additional discussion on the superintendent, changes to the superintendent's contract? All right. Hearing none, for the region, all those in favor? All those opposed? Passes unanimously for the region. Northborough School Committee?
All in favor? Passes unanimously.
Southborough School Committee?
All in favor? Passes unanimously.
And the union?
For the union, all in favor? Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Superintendent Martineau.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Next on our agenda is item 9, which is our second public comment section. At this time, I'll just remind the audience of the rules for public comment, and I will open the discussion up to public comment at this time. Any public comment from the school committee? Not hearing any, I will move and entertain motions to adjourn. I will entertain a motion to adjourn from the region.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Moved by Joan, second by Kathleen. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, the region is adjourned. Northborough?
Second.
Third. All in favor? Unanimous for Northborough. We're adjourned at 9:33.
Southborough?
So moved.
All in favor? Passes unanimously.
And the union.
For the union,
So moved.
Second.
moved by Joan, seconded by
Kelly.
All in favor? Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. We're adjourned.
Have a great summer, everybody.